"Open return channel," he said. The screen flickered again. Now, it was the human commander's turn. He stood in uniform, calm, steady, focused. He looked directly at the alien leader. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the commander said, "You came to our planet without warning." His voice was not loud, but it was strong. "You called us weak." The alien leader lowered his head slightly. The commander continued, "You attacked our world and expected no resistance." He paused. The room was completely silent. Then he said one simple line, "You don't get to leave." Those words hit harder than any weapon. Inside the alien ship, the crew froze. The leader closed his eyes slowly. He understood. There would be no escape. The transmission ended. Back on Earth, the commander turned to his team. "Prepare final strike," he said. No one argued. No one hesitated. In space, human ships moved into position. All weapons locked, all systems ready. The alien command ship remained still. It did not move. It did not attack. It simply waited. The leader stood alone now. Most of his crew had stepped back. There was nothing left to do. He looked out into space one last time, at the human ships surrounding him, at the planet below. Earth, the world he thought would fall easily. He spoke quietly, almost like a whisper. "We were not ready for them." Outside, energy began to build. Human weapons charged at once. The light grew stronger, brighter, stronger than anything before. Back on Earth, people looked up at the sky again. They knew what was coming. This was the end. The commander raised his hand one last time. Then slowly, he lowered it. Fire. A massive wave of energy shot forward. It crossed the distance in seconds. It hit the alien command ship directly. For a moment, everything went white. No sound, no movement, just light. Then, the ship was gone. Completely destroyed. No pieces, no remains, nothing. Space became quiet again. This time, for real. The alien invasion was over. On Earth, silence spread across cities. People looked at each other. Some smiled. Some cried. Some just stood there, unable to believe it. They had survived. Not just survived. They had won. Back in the control room, the final report came in. All enemy signals and gone. The officer looked at the commander. "It's over." The commander nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "It's over." But deep inside, he knew something else. This victory was just the beginning. The war was over. No explosions, no alarms, no enemy ships in the sky. For the first time since the invasion began, Earth was quiet again. But it was not the same Earth anymore. Across the world, people slowly stepped outside. They looked up at the sky. Clear, blue, peaceful. It felt strange. In cities, crowds gathered in streets. Some people laughed. Some cried. Some hugged each other like they had just come back from the edge of death. Because they had. In London, the woman who once ran in fear now stood still, smiling. "We're alive," she whispered. In New York, the man who dropped his coffee looked at the sky again. "They're really gone." In a small village, the young boy raised his hands in excitement. "We won," he shouted. And this time, everyone believed it. Back in the underground control room, things were different. The screens were still active. Systems were still running. But the tension was gone. Officers sat quietly, watching the final data come in. No enemy signals detected. All systems stable. Global networks restoring. The young officer leaned back in his chair. "It feels strange," he said. Another officer smiled slightly. "Yeah," she replied. "Too quiet." In the center of the room, the commander stood as always, calm, still, watching. The young officer looked at him. "Sir, we did it." The commander nodded once. "Yes." But his face did not change. No big smile, no celebration, because he knew something important. This victory would not stay secret. He turned to the main screen. "Send global message," he said. The officer quickly responded. "To all nations?" The commander shook his head. "To everyone," he said. The message was sent. Across the world, screens turned on again. Phones, TVs, public displays. People stopped and watched. The commander appeared on every screen. Behind him, the control room glowed softly. His voice was calm, clear, and strong. "People of Earth, the threat is gone." A wave of relief spread everywhere. But he continued. "We were attacked without warning. We were tested, judged." He paused for a moment, and we answered. People listened carefully. Some stood still in silence. Some recorded the moment. The commander's eyes remained steady. This victory was not luck. It was preparation. It was unity. It was humanity. In homes and streets and broken cities, people felt something new. Pride. Not loud, not wild, but deep. The commander spoke one final line. "Let this be a message to anyone watching. The room behind him became darker as the screens focused on his face. "We are not weak." The transmission ended. For a few seconds, the world was silent. Then, people began to cheer. Not in fear, not in panic, but in victory. Back in space, human ships still floated around Earth. They were no longer attacking. They were watching, guarding, waiting, because something else had already begun. Far beyond Earth, deep in space, signals were traveling, fast across planets, across systems, across empires. The message was simple. Earth has defeated an invasion fleet. At first, no one believed it. In one distant alien world, a group of beings looked at the report. "That's not possible," one of them said. "That fleet has never lost," another added. But the data was clear. The fleet was gone, destroyed by humans. In another system, a powerful empire received the same message. Their leader read it twice, then slowly said, "Mark that planet." An officer asked, "As a target?" The leader shook his head. "No." He paused. As a warning. Back on Earth, the commander finally stepped away from the main screen. The control room lights became softer. Systems powered down slowly. The young officer stood up. "So, what now?" he asked. The commander looked at him. For the first time, there was a small, real smile. "Now," he said, "we prepare." The officer blinked. "Prepare? For what?" "It's over." The commander shook his head gently. "No," he said. "It's not over." He looked back at the screen one last time, at the stars, at the endless space beyond Earth. "They know about us now," he said. The room became quiet again, not with fear, but with understanding. Humanity was no longer hidden, no longer unknown. They had shown their strength, and the galaxy was watching. Outside, the sun rose again over Earth. A new day, a new future, stronger, wiser, ready. And somewhere in that vast universe, one truth had already spread. Humans were not the weakest species. They were not easy to defeat, and if pushed, they would not just fight back. They would win, easily.